Sometimes to see where software is headed, you don't need some grand 5-year plan. You just have to look really closely at a single day. Today, we're going to do just that. We're breaking down one huge update from the Woodbury project's changelog, specifically from March 22nd, 2026, to see a massive shift in automation as it happened. Everything we're going to talk about really boils down to this one question. What if the tools we use to automate things could actually start automating their own creation? I know, it kind of sounds like sci-fi, right? But as you're about to see, the seeds for that future were planted on this exact day. So, here's the plan. First, we're going to look at how the core engine got a major power-up. Then, we get to the main event, an AI that can actually build automation. After that, we'll see how they cleaned up the user interface for a much better chat experience. And finally, we'll dive into the little fixes that made the whole thing just feel right. Okay, first things first. Before you can make any tool smarter, you have to make it more powerful. You got to give it more muscle. So, the March 22nd update kicked off by seriously expanding what the core workflow engine could even do. This right here, this update basically broke the tool out of its cage. It was no longer just about clicking around in a browser. With these 4 new steps, it got superpowers. Suddenly, it could talk to any API out there, run its own custom code, actually understand and pull data out of text, and even multitask. This was a massive leap forward. The update also went deep on making the automation way more reliable. Think of this force native typing feature like giving your bot a real physical keyboard. See, instead of sending a simple software command, which a lot of websites can spot and block, this makes it seem like a real person is typing. It's way more dependable, much more human-like, and a whole lot harder for websites to shut down. So the big takeaway from all this? The system basically went from being a simple little macro recorder to a full-on automation studio. It could now handle really complex stuff. But, a powerful studio is only useful if you actually know how to use all the fancy equipment. And that's exactly what the next part of the update was all about. And here we are. This is the main event of the update. Having a super powerful engine is one thing, but it can also be pretty complicated to use. So the March 22nd update delivered a pretty radical solution to that problem. And this is it, the Workflow Build Agent tool. This was not just another button or feature. This was a complete change in philosophy. Instead of you having to build the automation, an AI copilot could now build it for you, just by you describing what you want. So how in the world does this work? Well, instead of you manually clicking and recording every little thing, you just tell the AI your goal, and it follows this really clear 5-step process. It makes a new workflow file, it looks at the live website, it adds all the right steps to get the job done, and then it saves and tests it to make sure it works. It's not magic, it's just a solid engineering process, but performed entirely by an AI. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from the changelog. It confirms that the system was designed to let the AI, in this case Claude, literally watch what's happening in a browser and then write the automation code itself. The AI wasn't just using the tools anymore, it was now building the tools. And that is why this matters so much. It's a huge shift. When a system can start building its own parts, it's taking the very first steps toward being able to improve itself. This isn't just about making your job easier, it's about the system itself being able to grow and get smarter over time. Okay, so we have this supercharged engine and an AI copilot that can build with it. Fantastic. But for this whole human-AI team-up to really work, the conversation between you two has to be seamless, right? So the next part of this update was all about refining that interaction. You can see the difference immediately. Before, every time the AI did something, it would drop this big, clunky card into the chat. It just cluttered everything up. Afterwards, those tool calls became these neat single lines. They stay out of your way, but you can still click to see the details. It's all about keeping you focused on the conversation.
And the refinements didn't stop there. A few other small tweaks made a surprisingly big difference. They lowercased the role labels, which sounds tiny, but it just makes it feel more like a casual chat. And the send button became smart. It's an arrow when you can type, and it turns into a little hourglass when the AI is thinking. These little details really matter.
So yeah, this wasn't just about making things look pretty. Every single one of these changes was designed to cut down on distractions and keep you in that creative flow state. It's all about making working with an AI feel as natural as talking to a person.
All right, for our last section, let's move from the huge game-changing features to the small quality-of-life fixes. This is where a project really shows it cares about its users, by hunting down and squashing those little everyday annoyances that can drive you crazy.
The update tackled 3 really common frustrations. First, it fixed that bug where the app would sometimes load into the wrong screen, which was super jarring. Second, for Mac users, they added a little padding at the top so the sidebar didn't crash into the window controls. It just feels clean and native now. And finally, they tucked away the technical agent workspace panel behind a button, so the focus is back on the chat where it belongs.
And this really highlights a key idea in making great software. It's not enough to just ship amazing, groundbreaking features. You also have to care about the polish, about sweating the small stuff. These little fixes show a real respect for the user's focus and time.
So let's just pull it all together. All of this happened in one update on one day, March 22nd. The engine went from a simple tool to a powerful studio. An AI copilot showed up that could actually build new automations for you. And the whole experience, from the chat to the dashboard, got a polish that made it a joy to use. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. This update was a huge step towards self-improving systems. It really forces us to think bigger than just automating the work we already do today. When our tools can start to build and evolve themselves, what completely new kinds of problems are we going to be able to solve tomorrow?